Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into an absolute cosmic mystery. We are talking about how ancient Kabbalistic architecture integrates entirely new souls into a closed-loop legacy system. I mean, imagine a framework built at the very dawn of creation. It's perfectly balanced, totally complete, and then suddenly it has to accept massive, dynamic system updates. How in the world does the universe add new nodes to an ancient, established spiritual grid without just crashing the whole system? Well, today we're decoding the Zohar's teachings on Jerusalem below, the integration of converts, or Gerim, and the mystical mechanics of tribal inheritance. Let's get right into it. All right, so here is our system architecture blueprint for today. We'll be hitting 6 main points. First, the legacy system architecture. Second, a tech analogy on expansion modules. Third, video game factions and integrating souls. Fourth, mapping the Sephirotic mechanics. Fifth, color shifts from Din to Rahamim. And finally, number 6, returning to Jerusalem below.
Okay, let's start with section 1, the legacy system architecture.
Before we can even wrap our heads around how the system expands, we really have to look at the original base code. You see, the foundational architecture of the spiritual universe wasn't just thrown together randomly. It was unbelievably precise. The first crucial metric you need to know is the number 12. According to the ancient Sefer Yetzirah, the universe was actually carved out with 12 diagonal boundaries. And when we look at the human realm, that translates directly to the original tribal framework. The 12 tribes of Israel aren't just historical families, right? They are literally the foundational 12 nodes of the spiritual mainframe. They represent this perfectly balanced closed loop. But outside that core closed loop, we hit our next number, 70. This signifies the external network, the expansion of the 70 nations of the world. So you basically have an internal core of 12 and an outward-facing network of 70. 2 totally distinct operational zones running in the cosmic system. Which brings us to the number 2. And honestly, this is the core tension of our entire explainer today. We're dealing with 2 completely different categories of souls here. You've got the original legacy souls that were pre-coded into the system from the start, and then you have the later-born souls, the ones from the outside network who wake up and suddenly need to be integrated into the core architecture. So the big question is, how do you actually merge the 2? Moving right along to section 2, tech analogy, expansion modules. To really grasp this cosmic migration, let's use a modern analogy. Think of Kabbalistic soul migration not just as some abstract mystical idea, but as high-level cosmic engineering. The Zohar zooms in on a very specific phrase from the book of Genesis, Umoladecha asher choladata chorehem, meaning your offspring which you beget after them. The profound mystical secret, the sod here, is exactly how it treats these later-born souls and converts, known as gerim. They are absolutely not an afterthought. In our cosmic engineering model, these souls are dynamic expansion modules. They're essentially brand new tech that gets added after the base code was completely compiled and launched. Now, think about the sheer technical difficulty of what the universe is trying to pull off here. On one hand, you have the legacy architecture, this closed, ancient, highly sensitive loop of the 12 tribes. On the other hand, you have dynamic node integration. You are taking new nodes, new souls with entirely different origin codes, and plugging them directly into the mainframe. I mean, if you just jam a new module into an old motherboard, you're going to risk crashing the system's core identity, right? It requires an incredibly sophisticated, dynamic protocol to make sure you have backwards compatibility while you're actively expanding the network. Let's look at section 3, video game factions integrating souls. If the whole cosmic engineering thing feels a bit too abstract, let's look at it from a gaming perspective, because this makes the ancient mechanics of spiritual inheritance so relatable. Imagine you're playing a massive multiplayer online game. The 12 tribes are your original established factions. They've got hundreds of hours of deep lore, very specific inheritance rights, and strict boundary lines. Then suddenly, a new player, a jur, a totally new soul enters the game. They represent a completely new character class. And the thing is, they can't just float around in the lobby forever. They have to join an established faction. They must seamlessly align their unique new skills and background with the existing cosmic roles of that ancient tribe. They have to attach to a specific spiritual channel without messing up the whole guild's balance. Up next is section 4, mapping the Sephirotic mechanics. So how does the universe actually process this massive expansion? Well, it happens in a very precise 4-step cosmic router flow through the Sephirot. First up, the overarching expansion protocol gets initiated up in Bina.
Second, the conflicting identities of the old code and the new code have to be balanced out, and that happens in Tiferet. Third, all this newly unified data gets sent down through Yesod, which is basically the high-speed routing channel. And finally, it fully manifests physically in Malkut, which acts as the ultimate receiver.
This beautifully breaks down the exact mechanical relationship between the divine emanations and our legacy system. Look at how this maps out. Binah is your mainframe expansion protocol. It acts as the mother of souls, expanding the system's raw capacity. Then you have Tiferet, acting as the load balancer, harmonizing all these complex identities so the system doesn't just overload and crash. Next is Yesod, representing the covenant. It is the high-speed data router that perfectly channels these newcomers into their exact tribal slots. And finally, Malkut. That is the final receiving terminal, which in mystical terms we know as Jerusalem below.
Let's move on to Section 5, Color Shifts, Din to Rachamim.
Now remember, adding new code isn't just a simple mechanical process. It's highly volatile and inherently causes a lot of system friction. And the Zohar describes this friction using these incredible color shifts. Integrating a new soul from the outside network into the legacy architecture triggers intense, bright red energy. Red represents din, which means harsh judgment, strict boundaries, and major identity tension. It's literally the system's firewall, putting up resistance against a foreign body. So to successfully integrate the new module, the system must undergo a shift to white. White represents rachamim, mercy, fluidity, and ultimate inclusion. The system has to literally sweeten its own firewall to allow for true unity.
The Zohar captures this dynamic absolutely perfectly. It says, Chad dina v'chad rachemei umit basmin da b'da. One is judgment, one is mercy, and they are sweetened one within the other. Isn't that wild? This ancient, mystical text perfectly describes the sweetening of a cosmic operating system. The strict, rigid boundaries of those original 12 tribes have to soften just enough to warmly embrace the new users, totally blending the red and the white into perfect harmony. And that brings us to Section 6, returning to Jerusalem below. Now, we reach the cinematic climax, the moment where all these complex mechanics materialize right here in our physical reality. I want you to really visualize this, like a breathtaking 4K heritage scene in a movie. Imagine Jerusalem below, but not just as old stones in history. Imagine it pulsing as a living, breathing, hyperdynamic city. It is physically layered directly beneath its luminous heavenly counterpart, Jerusalem above. Malchut, that final receiving terminal we talked about, is glowing at absolute full capacity as the two layers of reality perfectly, seamlessly align.
So the ultimate takeaway is what exactly happens at these gates. You have these massive streams of exiled legacy souls returning home. But right beside them, shoulder to shoulder, the new souls, the Gerim, are actively entering this ancient architecture for the first time. And because the system successfully shifted from Din to Rachamim, and because Yesod routed everything perfectly, every single individual node, every single soul, finds its precise, predestined energetic slot within the tribes. The legacy system evolves, the network expands, and it does the whole thing without breaking a single line of its original code. It is, quite literally, a masterpiece of divine engineering.
And this brings us to a really crucial question for you to take away today. Because we all have our own internal legacy architectures, right? Our habits, our deeply held beliefs, our own established 12 tribes of personal identity. When you encounter entirely new truths, or when new people enter your life, how do you integrate those new expansions into your personal framework? Do you respond with the red firewall of Din, putting up resistance? Or can you sweeten the judgment with the white light of Rakalim, allowing yourself to evolve without breaking?
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.